Hello. So for the people that don't know, my name is Crystal Hoban. I am the crystal clear mystic. And oh my goodness, are there tons of black crows flying by me right now. It's funny because this is actually my first video that I'm doing, I guess, in this type of way. And showing up in this way. So maybe some shadow work kind of showing up. Usually that's what crows mean for me, black crows. They mean that there's like some shadow work that I am diving into, digging into the surface, kind of working through. They can also mean crossroads for me as well. And I don't know if you know, but Hecate is usually associated with like black animals, blackbirds specifically, and this idea that you're at like a crossroads of where you're gonna go. Sometimes they can also be associated with like powerfulness and like seeing like your inner witch and your inner power and your inner ability, right? So it's interesting though, because I think when it comes to signs and synchronicities, like on a spiritual journey or in general for somebody, whoever it is, right? They're different for everybody. So what a sign means for me is going to be completely different than what a sign means for you, probably. And that's totally okay, right? Your spirit guides, your higher self shows you what you need to see at that moment in time to get the information that you need at that moment in time. And so it's interesting because if you go on Google and you research signs, right, or you look them up, you'll see a lot of information about like what signs mean for the Native Americans, for different civilizations, like ancient civilizations or different cultures, right? And every culture, every civilization, right, they have different signs and they have different meanings of those signs. And so I think it's important to recognize that like signs are different for everybody, and they're different beyond culture, they're different beyond all of those things. And so when you are really confident in who you are and you start to recognize who you are as you awaken spiritually, you start to acknowledge that, you know your signs, and it's not something you can ask somebody else. I mean, someone else can like ask you questions to help you understand what the sign is, right? So some of those questions, which I usually do when I'm doing like spiritual guided work or my psychic work, if people like ask me these things, would be like, what did you feel when you saw that sign? What were you thinking about when you saw that sign, right? And those kinds of ways of checking in are going to help you to understand what that sign meant and why it was there or what it means to you, right? Just like the numbers. I think it's so interesting when I see people talk about, well, 111 means this, 222 means this, 333, right? Like, I mean, does it? Does it for everybody, or does it mean something different for everybody? And it takes like you paying attention and checking in with yourself in those moments that you see those things to truly know, right, what they mean. So for example, there's someone that I enjoy watching that's a reader, and she talks about how 222 is like information about her receiving something external, like a gift from the divine of some sort, okay, divine God, whatever you want to call it. And it's interesting because 222 for me means that I'm in balance and I'm receiving something of a gift internally and within my ability to move forward. So it's definitely different, right? I'm in balance is part of that. And then also like my ability to be in balance means that I'm able to show up in a different way. So, all of these different signs and synchronicities are different for different people. And it's important to kind of like ask yourself what feels right and fits for you. This is also true when it comes to like different body senses that come up from spirit. So for me personally, I receive like full body chills, where some people I've heard will receive like taps, like chill taps in ways, or different parts of their body will tingle, or they'll receive like hot flashes or heat kind of moments, right? Or twitching, right? All of those things are signs from spirit, but really how you choose to, or what it is that it's telling you is different, right? One of the things that I do talk about a lot though, and I personally believe this to be true just because when we talk about energy, right, and tarot cards as well, there's masculine and feminine energy. And there's masculine and feminine energy within each of us as well. And so our feminine energy is associated with our right side of the body, and our masculine energy is associated with the left side of the body. So when I receive, I want to say like twitches or like tingles that happen that are not full body for me, it's usually associated with the masculine or feminine energy, okay? So masculine energy being doing, forceful, pushing through, getting things done, determination, right? That emperor energy. And feminine energy being more so like the receiving, the relaxing, the trusting, the surrendering, right? Two kind of different things, right? So I think it's just interesting to think about, and like so important to recognize that like no one knows your journey, and no one really knows what it is that you're experiencing or how you're understanding things. It is such an individual thing, the spiritual journey, and like it's so individual how it affects us, and also like the path that we're supposed to go down, as well as the information we receive or need to even receive from our own guides and spirits, right? So, or God, whatever you want to call it, right? Personally, I think we're talking all about the same thing. And we just call it different things, to be honest. But the reality is like signs and synchronicities are so individual. They're so independent to you. And so I would be curious to hear about like a couple of signs that you've maybe seen recently and how you're identifying them and what you see them as, or how you're making sense of them, and kind of seeing if some of them overlap in the comments. So if you want to go ahead and do that, I really appreciate that. I'd be curious to kind of understand that a little bit deeper. And more specifically, Black crows came to my mind. So like, I guess I wonder how many people experience that in such a different way than others, which I just love the mind. I think it's so fascinating. I was a therapist previously to this. So, you know, I'm very analytical in the way that I understand things and enjoy things. So it's very fascinating to me. But I hope that you enjoyed this video, and like and subscribe for more, and definitely leave me a comment about your signs. I'm curious. And if you have questions, I'll be through to answer them if you have anything that comes up about this. All right. Love and light.